Take a moment to look at your hands, the texture of your skin, or the way your body reacts to a sudden chill in the air. For generations, we were told a story of human purity, that we, Homo sapiens, were a singular elite lineage that conquered the world through sheer, isolated brilliance. We were taught that we arrived on the grand stage of history and simply replaced the primitive beings who came before us. But deep within your cells, there is a silent passenger, a genetic ghost that defies that old narrative. About 50,000 years ago, in the shadowed valleys of a frozen Europe, an encounter took place that would change the course of biological history forever. It wasn't just a meeting of two tribes, it was the collision of two fundamentally different ways of being human. Today, we know that if your ancestry originates from outside sub-Saharan Africa, you carry about 2% of an extinct species within your very marrow. This isn't a story of a failed branch of evolution. This is the story of a merger. The Neanderthals did not truly disappear. They were woven into the tapestry of us. Long before our ancestors ventured out of the warmth of Africa, the Neanderthals were already the undisputed masters of the North. For nearly 300,000 years, they endured climate shifts that would have crushed most species. Imagine a world of perpetual winter, a landscape of ivory-colored tundras and forests of bone-white birch. This was their home. They were built for this extreme reality. Evolution had sculpted them into the ultimate survivalists. Thick bones to withstand the impact of hunting megafauna, powerful muscles for bursts of incredible strength, and a barrel-chested torso designed to retain every precious calorie of heat. Their wide noses were internal radiators, warming the sub-zero air before it reached their lungs. Yet we must discard the primitive stereotypes. When we look at the archaeological record with modern eyes, we see a people with a profound, quiet sophistication. They used fire not just for warmth, but as a tool to transform their environment. They crafted Levallois stone tools with a precision that requires years of apprenticeship to master. And most tellingly, they cared for their dead. In the caves of Europe and the Levant, we find burials where bodies were placed with care, sometimes accompanied by grave goods or flowers. These were thinking, feeling beings who looked at the stars and likely wondered the same things we do today. They lived in a world of silence and ice for millennia, carving out a stable existence long before the first sapiens ever stepped foot on the continent. The turning point arrived around 60,000 to 70,000 years ago. As Homo sapiens expanded across the Middle East, they didn't find an empty wilderness. They entered a world that had been owned by Neanderthals for 250,000 years. Imagine the tension of that first contact. In a mountain pass in what is now Israel or Iran, two hunting parties might have crossed paths. One group was tall, slender, and gracile, built for the long-distance heat dissipation of the African savanna. The other was rugged, stocky, and immensely powerful. To the Neanderthals, the sapiens must have looked fragile, like strange wading birds. To the sapiens, the Neanderthals must have looked like the very earth come to life, heavy, immovable, and formidable. Despite these physical differences, something extraordinary happened. They recognized a shared humanity. For over 10,000 years, these two groups lived as neighbors. They hunted the same mammoths, sought shelter in the same limestone caves, and observed the same migrations of reindeer. This wasn't a brief meeting in the historical sense. It was an epoch of coexistence. They traded techniques. We see sapien-style ornaments in Neanderthal sites and Neanderthal-style toolmaking in sapien sites. And eventually, they chose to bridge the ultimate gap. They interbred. This act of intimacy proves that, despite 300,000 years of separate evolution, the spark of recognition was stronger than the biological divide. If the interbreeding was successful, why do we only carry 2% of their DNA? Why didn't we become one single, equal hybrid species? The answer lies in the genetic wall, a biological boundary that reveals a tragic side to this prehistoric romance. When two species have been separated for hundreds of thousands of years, they begin to drift apart biologically. Science suggests that by the time we met again, we were on the very edge of becoming incompatible. Genetic mapping shows a curious hole in our heritage. We have almost no Neanderthal DNA on our Y chromosomes. This points to a phenomenon known as Haldanes Rule. In nature, when two distinct species cross, the heterogametic sex, the one with two different sex chromosomes, which in mammals is the male, is often the most affected by infertility or health issues. It is highly likely that the sons of a Neanderthal father and a sapiens mother were often sterile. They were healthy, strong boys, but they could not have children of their own. This created a silent, biological filter. Neanderthal genes could only move forward through the daughters. This wasn't an extinction caused by a massacre. It was a slow, genetic melting. Because sapiens arrived in much larger numbers, their gene pool acted like a vast ocean, and the Neanderthal gene pool was a small, ancient lake. Every generation of interbreeding diluted the Neanderthal signal further, until all that remained were the fragments we carry today. Beyond biology, we must analyze the social structures of the time. Neanderthals were highly successful, but they were local. They lived in small, isolated family units, rarely numbering more than 20 individuals. This made them masters of their specific valley, but it made them incredibly vulnerable to the bottleneck of bad luck. If a single winter was too harsh, or a local herd of bison didn't return, a whole lineage could blink out in a single season. Homo sapiens brought a different strategy: the network. We lived in larger groups, and, more importantly, we maintained social contracts with tribes hundreds of miles away. We traded obsidian, seashells, and information. We had friends we hadn't seen in years, but could rely on in a crisis. When the climate of the Ice Age began to fluctuate wildly, swinging from freezing to mild in the span of a human lifetime, the Neanderthals' isolation became their Achilles heel. They were specialized masters in a world that suddenly demanded the flexible, interconnected chaos of the sapiens lifestyle. We didn't necessarily outthink them. We simply outconnected them. To see the humanity in this story, we must look at the individuals. In the Shanidar cave of Iraq, we found a man known as Shanidar I. His life was a testament to prehistoric compassion. He had survived a massive blow to his head as a youth, which likely left him blind in one eye. His right arm was withered and had been amputated at the elbow, and he suffered from debilitating arthritis. In a brutal world, he should have died within days. Yet, he lived to be an old man. His tribe carried him, fed him, and protected him for decades. This wasn't a primitive brute. This was a society that valued life beyond mere utility. Then, there is the discovery of the Oaza 1 jawbone in Romania. Genetic testing on this Homo sapiens individual revealed he had a Neanderthal ancestor only 4 to 6 generations back. This man likely knew exactly what a Neanderthal looked like, because his own great-great-grandparent was one. He was a living bridge between two worlds. These individuals remind us that this isn't just a story of species. It's a story of families, of caring for the disabled, and of welcoming the other into the hearth. Today, the Neanderthals are gone from the physical landscape, but they are working inside your body at this very moment. Their 300,000-year struggle in the north wasn't for nothing. When our ancestors left the tropics, they were biological tourists in a dangerous land. But by interbreeding with Neanderthals, we downloaded a survival kit that had been tested for millennia. We inherited a refined immune system, genes that help our bodies recognize and fight off Eurasian viruses and bacteria that would have been lethal to a pure sapiens. We inherited genes that affect our skin pigmentation and hair, allowing our ancestors to absorb vitamin D in the weak sunlight of the north. We even inherited the way our blood clots and how our metabolism processes fat, traits that were life-saving in a world where a wound could be fatal and food was scarce, even if they present different challenges in our modern, sedentary lives. The story of the Neanderthal encounter is the ultimate reminder that human history is not a straight line of purity and conquest. It is a messy, beautiful tapestry of hybridization. We often focus on what makes us unique, but our greatest strength turned out to be our ability to incorporate the other. The Neanderthals didn't truly die out. They are the part of you that survives the cold, the part of you that fights off a seasonal infection, and the part of you that connects us to the deep, icy roots of our planet's history. The lesson they leave us is profound. Survival is rarely a solo act. We are at our best when we connect, when we share, and when we recognize that even the most different-looking stranger might hold the key to our shared future. We are not just Homo sapiens. We are the sum of everyone who came before us, a hybrid species built from the courage and the DNA of those who braved the ice 50,000 years ago. You carry an ancient legacy in your veins. It is a story of survival, of compassion, and of the enduring power of the human spirit to find a way, even in the darkest and coldest of winters.